right, what is up, everybody? Thanks so much for being here tonight. We're glad that you joined us, that you chose to join us this Monday night. We got a nice little episode for you with a couple of cool recommendations and pickups that we had from the past week to week and a half, because that's what Monday Hauls Live is. That's us showing off the new comic book pickups and new comic book related material that we've snagged over the past week to week and a half, and we just want to share it with you. Make recommendations, give you some background on why we chose what we chose, and just a good time to hang out with the community, our little corner of the community, and let everybody just kind of catch up with one another. So we're glad that you're here tonight. For the couple that are hanging out with us right now, and for those who are going to join us and watch on the rewind, we're glad to see all of you guys here, and glad that you joined us. Just a quick reminder for you. This is Carlos Collects Comics. I am Carlos. And we do have 3 weekly shows that we do on most weeks. Monday Hauls Live is always on Mondays at 10 p.m. Central. It's a live stream show, like I said, and that's what you're watching right now. And so, like I said, that's the showcase for recent pickups that we've had. Wednesday nights is the giveaway show. That's to promote generosity in the comic community. We do giveaways of different types, comic books, sometimes other stuff. That's generally always where you're going to find our milestone giveaways. So if we're hitting major milestones on the channel, then we are doing the giveaways there. Make sure and tune in there Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Central. It's generally myself, Paul, and other assorted savory and unsavory characters just hanging out with us. This week, Paul is going to be taking center stage. I'll be out, but he will have a little crew with him, and they're going to be going over, we don't know yet. We'll see. It's going to be a mixed grab bag, and always some comedic magic that takes place there, so make sure you're there for us. Lastly, Friday features. Those happen, you guessed it, on Fridays, generally around 10 p.m. Central. Most weeks, some weeks, a few weeks. But always good content, generally top 10 lists. We go over my picks for certain comic book characters that you should be watching out for. There's also creator interviews, local comic shop spotlights, and other cool videos that I drop on Fridays that have a little bit more scripting to them, a little bit more information to pull from. Make sure you check those out. Everything is organized on playlists here on the channel. You can also click over to the community tab, and on the community tab you can find some different surveys that we put up. I put them up on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sometimes I also put up little notes and announcements, stuff that I found interesting about the comic community that you can check out there. Speaking of interesting content, Comic Collecting for Beginners is a 4-part video series for new comic collectors that's available now on my YouTube channel. It's got its own playlist, and it is a perfect lineup of practical, strong hints and tips for new comic collectors. Lots of good stuff there, so make sure you check it out. Additionally, I'll be dropping the sequel series to this, which is Packing and Shipping Comics. We'll talk about raw comics, slabbed comics, and just getting good postage rates. I'm still putting that together, and that should drop at some point before the end of the year. I'm just hoping for November. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Anyway, lots of good content here. Always fun to show this stuff off and to hang out with you guys. We recently celebrated our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. That was a lot of fun, and then we are now rocketing towards our next big goal is going to be 1,500 subscribers. We got a little bit of ways to walk, but we've already added almost 60 new subscribers just in the past couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to this. And I'm excited about it. And hey, you know what? It's time for us to say, hey, face to face. What's up, everybody? I'm here. I'm wearing my Clark Kent glasses tonight, and I'm glad to be here hanging out with you. I've got MT is hanging out backstage, and I'm going to go and bring him out and let him say hi to everybody. So here is everybody's favorite professor of comics, MT.
Hey, what's going on, guys? See who's hey, Hector, Fort Pete's in here. Got some cold opens, a stack of cold opens here, and shipping a new shipping low. It is pretty nasty, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So Halloween is over. A little bit of Halloween hangover. I did stock up pretty heavy on Halloween books, so I was able to fill out some collections that I've gone over, my monster books and some of the horror titles. So that was kind of fun. I'm kind of winding down on that. And I'm kind of focusing back in on some of the main titles that I haven't filled out yet. Like the Defenders, I don't have the whole run yet, stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on a little bit here recently. So I'm hoping that's what's in some of these boxes. I guess we'll have to wait and see together. I'm still looking for a comic book that's worth buying and reading that's being printed today. Or being printed like right now. I can't find one. I still have my Thor subscription. It's been the one that I've just struggled to cancel.
How many years now?
I don't know. I was trying to think about that. At least 16, 17 maybe.
Gosh.
But, you know, the days of J. Michael Straczynski and Jason Aaron writing Thor are probably come and gone. I'm over Donny Cates. Sorry, gang, if you like Donny Cates. I had high hopes. I'm not totally thrilled with him, but at any rate, anybody's got any suggestions? I'm open to it. I've actually broken down and started reading some DC books. I have a hard time getting into DC. I think their characters are like goofy. They got like goofy names a lot of times, so it's hard for me to get past that sometimes. But they do got some good stories. Obviously, there's some good DC stuff out there. I just I need to land on some, I guess. At any rate, looking forward to another great show. Let us know what you guys are reading, what you guys are looking to pick up. What do you have picked up? I guess I can dive right in here if you want me to, Carlos.
Why don't you do chat shout-outs real quick?
Oh, hey, Bry Guy's here. Good to see you, Bry Guy. Thanks for being with us. Louis the Fifth. What is up with you, sir? For Pete's again. Hector, barely going over election propositions. Make sure to vote tomorrow. Yes, please do vote. We need to try and save the dollar from collapsing. Hopefully we can do that. I used to read Green Arrow in high school. Interesting. Green Arrow was very much a social justice guy. Back when that wasn't quite as crazy as it is today, but he's an interesting character to be sure. Nightwing run in DC is now probably the best thing I'm reading in comics. Well, that's good to know, Bry Guy. I did pick up a couple of those, like around where they were doing the Joker War. I had a couple of those and read a couple of those. They weren't bad. I used to like the Harley Quinn comics, but then this whole thing with Poison Ivy is kind of, I don't know, the stories aren't very good, but maybe there's one that I missed. Seems like this dark metal Death Knight business with the Batman Who Laughs. I kind of read some synopsis comics on that, and it's a very compelling story, and obviously they've been milking it to death now. So obviously it was a good story, right? Because how many years have they been milking the Batman Who Laughs now?
Man, that thing has been going forever.
Right, it's like they can't come up with another good story. We're just gonna.
Well, it's like it's like the Spider-Verse thing. How many Spider-Verse series have they had now?
I didn't think any of those were particularly good myself.
No, I didn't think so either. I'm just saying
to put a lot of different characters on the cover. That's what it seems like to me, at any rate.
Yeah.
The covers are great. Some of the covers are fantastic, with a lot of characters on them. I guess that's kind of why I buy mostly older comics. I struggle to find things that I can relate to, or at least a good story that I can find compelling that I want to read every month when it comes out. So I'm looking forward to that. Somebody's got something, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm not a big indie guy, not a big DC guy, but I'm ready to cross the picket line and possibly break that rule. If you've got something good that you'd like to suggest that I read, I am all ears. At any rate, let's see, we got 7 people in. I guess we'll start with the first one. I'm pretty sure I know what this one is because of what size it is, so we'll see. This is a book that I've been wanting to buy for a long time, and it has been a pretty pricey book, but like so many things, it's kind of dipped, so the time was right to pick this up, if this is deep, I think it is. We have the old accordion fold out, which here's my issue with this, because I can already see that there's an issue. Okay, so you put a stress line on the comic by having the portion that touches the comic doesn't cover it completely. Now you've created a stress line that doesn't seem like it caused problems, but it could have caused problems, so don't do it. At any rate, and of course, for absolutely no effing reason whatsoever, we put packing tape on the bag. Why? Don't do it. Stop it. Get some help. So I'll be throwing this bag out essentially because there's no way you're getting this packing tape off the bag. Luckily, I did just buy new magazine size boards and bags. At any rate, what this is the first cover of Satana. And you know what else is key about this book? Anybody in the chat or Carlos, do you know what else is key about this book?
Wait, that's Haunt of Horror number what?
Number 5. It is the first cover appearance of Satana.
Oh.
The most haunting story of them all. I was never really big into horror comics, but I always liked the character design on Satana, and that's always such a gorgeous cover. Let's see if I got my pocket knife. We'll cut it open and look at it together here. But I don't stuff that's like for my PC. I typically want high grade copies, and I think this one just has a slight spine roll in it that I can press out. But otherwise, I will say that this is easily 9.496. Which is good to see. That is a good thing. Of course, why do I not have? Oh, there we go. I got a pet knife. Don't put packing tape on bags, people. God, it's the bane of my existence. Just don't do it. You destroy the comic. You got to get rid of the bag. It's wasteful. It's wasteful. This did nothing but irritate me. Let's see how the back looks. Yeah, the back's pretty doggone clean. All right, did anybody figure out why else this is a key book yet? Look at it, still super glossy, gorgeous cover. This has a very early appearance of Rocket Raccoon in it.
Really?
It's very odd to be in here. I thought about using this for the promo for our auctions.
Yeah. Oh, that is, oh my gosh.
I've yet to have one that was a full page ad. Usually, like, it's a little skinny ad.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. But I'm trying to think of what story Rocket Raccoon would even be in this. Anyways, John Romita was the art director on this book. The cover was done by Dick
Giordano.
Giordano. Right. Chris Claremont was one of the writers on this book from X-Men fame, right? Scott Elderman, Irene Veritonoff, and Michelle Wolfman. But at any rate, I'll have to dig through this and figure out exactly where Rocket Raccoon is in this book. But I know he's supposed to be in here somewhere.
He,
At any rate, this is one of.
Oh, go ahead.
What? I don't know. I can't imagine an ad would qualify, right?
No, no, that wouldn't.
I would think that there's some little backstory in here or something is what I'm assuming is going on. She has like very 60s, late 60s type ultra mod costume design, which I always thought was kind of funny. Yeah, I would say that this is actually white pages too. This is a gorgeous copy. I am very pleased with this comic, all things considered. A light press, and I'm there. I might even get this one graded. And I don't, as many know, I'm not real big on grading. Although it does have printer wrinkles on the inside pages, but hopefully that'll still get me a 9.96. Gorgeous book. Oh, it has one little color breaking tick. Well, all right, at any rate, might still be a 9.6 candidate. We'll find out soon enough. Okay, let's go with the next one here. This one came to us from Vicksburg, Missouri. Didn't know there was a Vicksburg in Missouri. Apparently there is.
What's up, Tricky Crapster?
I can tell right away that this is a pre-order book because there's a guy that I pre-order comics from that he wraps every single one of his packages like this.
Oh, yeah.
Focused right. Where he does this weird diamond pattern with his bubble wrap. And you were kind enough to put blue tape, but then you put packing tape on the bag anyways. It's the little things, people. It's the little things.
MT, I'm running downstairs real quick.
Okay. That's fine. All right, this one I ordered a long time ago because I thought this was an absolutely gorgeous cover. I bought this as a set. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm wondering why I didn't buy more than one copy. Gorgeous work. Gorgeous work. And to think that this is actual artwork and not a photograph sometimes is quite spectacular. And she's got her crazy armband tattoos here, which now I didn't even notice this when I bought it, but what do you got? Batman, the original animated show there, right? That's images from the animated show. It almost looked like Scooby-Doo there for a minute, but those are her hyenas. Gorgeous book. Isn't that phenomenal? I thought the artwork on this was killer. I probably should have bought more copies. I'm a big fan of them being able to like show shiny clothing. This is like a new trend, especially in Harley Quinn books and stuff where they show shiny clothing, the highlighting. Because a lot of people don't know, I do architectural renderings. So how light gets shown on objects is a big part of my job. So I'm always very interested to see how other people use light and shading and highlighting in artwork. And it's some phenomenal stuff. And I got this a while back, and I think I got this from Comic Champ. And there were so many copies of this that like I was like, oh, Champ might like this. So I just sent him some of these as free bonus books. And after I just sat down here, decided I was going to show some of these, I was like, I think he's the one who gave these to me or sold these to me. So sorry, buddy, if I gave you back books that you sold me. I did put some other ones in there for you. So if you're watching this on the playback. Okay, let's open up another box here. I got 2 more boxes to go here, but these are big ones. This one comes to us from Mount Holly Springs, Pennsylvania. So within my own state here. 17085. That would put you over on the east side of the state, closer to Philadelphia. People don't realize it's like 7-8 hour drive for me to get to Philadelphia. It's a long way away. So we got the Appalachian Mountains that cuts through the middle of Pennsylvania, so you got to go up and down and up and down and up and down. It takes a long time to get there. All right, I'm not going to fault you for this, but I don't need your garbage. But at any rate, it's not terrible. Not terrible, but I guess it's better than nothing, right? Oh, good God. Good night. No boards, no bags, all stuffed into one big bag.
Wow.
And, I wrote specifically that I would pay more money if you made sure these all had boards and bags. Fell upon deaf ears. I can tell that one's already chipped.
Oh, no.
These were all supposed to be high-grade near mint copies from a personal collection, one owner. Collected them for years.
We're gonna do a song called "The Ballad of MT," and it's gonna be all of your woes about poor shipping habits.
Right. We have fallen short of the mark on near mint. That's for sure. Fallen short of the mark on near mint, and they're all out of order. That's another great thing here.
So what's the title?
These were all Micronauts.
Oh.
And there is mixed in here, not just Micronauts, but the Micronauts, the New Voyages. And the New Voyages do look super crispy for the most part.
Okay.
The Prometheus Pit.
Do you think the New Voyages is that worth picking up?
I never read it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Micronauts is all Marvel books.
Yeah.
Because there's this new discussion about, and I always thought at least some of the characters out of the Microbots might make it into the Quantumanium. Makes total sense, especially if you guys remember, even in Secret Wars, at the end of, or not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, where they battled Wasp at the end, like that got all tied into the Micronauts and the main enemy from the Micronauts universe. I keep finding a lot of these comics that have Scorpio in them, and that's another one right there with a little Scorpio deal. And there's 2 copies of 31. But if those of you, there's 3 copies of 31. I'm starting to think this wasn't a personal collection. This is like backstock in some store. This guy right here was the main baddie in Micronauts. But at any rate, Micronauts was one of these stories that were specifically created to sell action figures. So they don't necessarily have the rights to all these characters, but they might be able to get some of the rights to the minor characters and put it in Quantumania. That's kind of why they've been on the trending list here. Mm-hmm. This guy was very much inspired by all the kaiju and the robot. I'm trying to think what the guy's name is from Japan. You can see the antenna that they also used to use a lot in Transformers. I can't remember the girl's name. She escapes me. But Bug, the Bug character, was part of the new team of the Guardians of the Galaxy for a while. You can see there's this amalgamation of Colossus and Archangel in this one. But that's the Beyonder in his totally 80s white suit.
What's more 80s than the Beyonder's white tracksuit or his Michael Jackson suit?
Yeah, ROM would be another one. It was, ROM, Micronauts, Shogun Warriors came out of this 80s craze that was in love with Japan. All the cool electronics came out of Japan. All the high tech that you could buy for your personal home came from Japan. They were very, very cool in the 80s. And this kind of played out of that, Micronauts. But there's some really sweet covers in here. Here's the conclusion of the new voyages. Pretty sweet cover. I'm trying to see how long this ran. 1986. So Micronauts was done in 1986. But that horse-headed looking guy was the main baddie, of course. You can see he's got Micronauts triumphant. You can see this is classic eBay near mint book here. I mean, I got a decent deal on them, but well, that one's pretty crispy. I don't know what Purple Cat dude is doing. The devil, you say? Oh, this one is cool. Look at this. This is an homage to a Nick Fury Hydra book. So we've got Nick Fury and Hydra. It looks like Bob the Hydra agent. Baron Kaza returns. Enough said. In issue 26. This one's not bad shape either. That's kind of a cool cover. You don't see too many with the big yellow backgrounds like that. But it was when I first went to school, for ye who don't know, I went to school to be for forestry and biology. I was kind of very interested in microclimates. I used to spend a lot of time back in the swamp as a kid. You could see the little microenvironments back there, see some of the pond water and microscopes and stuff. But then I got sucked into building churches, and now I design buildings for a living. Kind of a weird progression, but at any rate, so I always like Micronauts because the micro world as it is of atoms and all the little creatures that float around in pond water and all that stuff makes me think of Micronauts for some reason. What do they call those? The water bears live on your eyelashes and stuff. The water bears that are the microscopic bear-looking things.
Water bears.
Never heard of a water bear? It was in Rick and Morty. Watch Rick and Morty.
Well, no, the boys do, but I don't.
It's a very famous microscopic organism. A water bear.
Water bear. Huh.
At any rate, oh, that's a wraparound cover, huh? Too. I didn't notice that. Look at that. This must be the finale or something. That's a sweet book, man. I like that one. Look at that. That's like totally He-Man. Lizard with guns on his head. That is totally He-Man. Speaking of which, I'll take a little break from these cold opens to kind of show you some other stuff, and I got some questions for some people. We had Random as Key on the other night, and we were talking about vintage toys and stuff. We were getting into it, and I started to pull out my mini comic collection, and which is absurd, of course. But I've got the entire collection of all the mini comics in one hardbound book here from Dark Horse. So this started because originally He-Man was not Prince Adam. He was a barbarian taken out of a cave and gifted magical weapons by the goddess, which is why Teela was called the goddess on the back page. And this only came with the Prince Adam action figure in the very first run of He-Man. Yeah, he gets gifted the magic armaments there, and she's green colored. They would bring that back much later on in the mid-2000s when they redid the run. Image did those, I believe, Image Comics, or might have been, it was before DC. It was Image, I think. That went into DC. But at any rate, I always loved the artwork in these. They were great stories. they were always kind of violent for kids mini comics, which, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they like totally shut them down on violence. Basically, ninjas with weapons, and in the cartoons, they are not allowed to hit any live object.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Which made them so dumb. Made the cartoon so dumb to watch. I was getting a little too old to be big into turtles at the time. I had a younger brother who was into it, and I thought it was super obnoxious because there was no violence in it. Because at least you had violence in the mini comics from Masters of the Universe. But at any rate, this also collects all the Horde books. It collects all the She-Ra books in this, and it also collects, I'm going to flip to it here. There was a second series called Hero, which was his son, and that really only came out in the United Kingdom. He-Man was huge in the United Kingdom. So there was stuff that only came out in the United Kingdom. The He-Man and the New Adventures, they were off in space and stuff. It was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah, there he is. That's the new He-Man.
Yeah, I just didn't get the pants. I was
so it looked like this. It was goofy. It was a cash grab. It was the last dying grasp. Now, if they could really make a solid, this comes into, they even start showing the new comics. This is when they started getting good again, when they relaunched the animated series. Somebody in the right hands could make $1 billion franchise out of a He-Man movie.
Yeah.
They made it not for kids, but made it for the people who will shell out tons of cash to buy merchandise and watch your movie 100 times. Think about the guy who created Conan the Conqueror. He could get his hands on He-Man. I think good things could happen. The other book that I picked up that I have not actually had time to read, but this is where I really kind of want to ask the chat if they have any experience with this. I bought this at a convention, and what this is I guess He-Man was a comic that appeared in the newspaper. Spider-Man used to be in the newspaper, all the time. You could read Spider. I never knew He-Man was ever in a newspaper. I never saw it. We never had it here where I live. So I'm wondering if this is something that only happened in the United Kingdom or on the West Coast or something. So somebody in the chat ever remember reading a He-Man comic strip in the newspaper? Would love to know. Be very interested to find that out. Okay. Okay, Steve Brown. Yeah, awesome. Hasbro already did Transformers movies. That kind of CGI for Rom would be awesome. I agree. Rom's got some potential for sure. Rom was the Space Knight. I'm specking on Micronauts right now, not as heavily as Eternals. They're going to make an Eternals 2 movie. Eternals is another one that was like 3/4 of a solid movie and the dumbest ending ever created by man, or Woe Man, sorry, because it was a Woe Man writer. Where is this frozen celestial that's sticking out of planet Earth that's not causing any havoc with our weather patterns? And supposedly it's still there, right? So stupid. At any rate, but there were some good dynamics. You had some A-list actors and actresses in that, and you gave all of a sudden this milquetoast girl who had no personality is now leading the team for reasons. Don't know what they were. Did never explain why she was going to take the reins, and then she does absolutely zero leading of the team. I don't know what happened there. 3/4 of it was good. First, I mean, if they could have explored the Sprite story about Sprite being eternally a child and not being able to grow up, because that's what they did in the comics, it was very good. Cersei was much more fleshed out in the comics too, and there was no need to change Ajax. But anyways, I'm not going to go down that road. Not tonight. At any rate, I'm really hoping you guys are excited to see Black Panther and Namor. I saw some footage today. I was still trying to remain as optimistic as I can. Namor was one of the most masculine characters ever created in comic books. He was Imperious Rex. Mm-hmm. And if he's not portrayed that way, I think there is going to be a serious backlash in the comic community, especially the diehards that shell out tons of cash to prop up these franchises, and not your fly-by-night fan that are going to see this for other reasons. Obviously, there's always going to be transition in main characters. You know, you're going to have that. So I'm willing to accept that. If Shuri is one of these Mary Sue characters that can't lose, can't do anything wrong, I think the movie's going to be in trouble. She needs to have some big hurdles to overcome that isn't just the grief of losing T'Challa. I'm hoping that they can flesh that out. Visually, it looks like a spectacular movie. Visually, phenomenal. So, again, the Marvel team has done tremendous things with their arts and visualization teams, their CGI, their costumes. It is top-rate stuff. I just wish the writers were a little bit better about telling compelling stories, but we'll see. I haven't given up. All right, next box. I don't go to the movie theater anymore. I've debated on going to the movie theater for this one because I'm so pumped about seeing Namor. I've always loved Namor. Namor was a series I collected as a kid. I might drag myself to the movie theater to see this one. And everybody knows how diehard a Thor fan I am. And I was not going to the movie theater to see that last one. In fact, I haven't even been able to watch the whole thing. Yeah, we won't even get into that. But at any rate.
Okay, so have you shared the massive the massive shipping shame edition yet?
No, that's the big finale.
The big finale. Okay.
My last box here. Last box I'm showing. And then we'll get into the disaster.
So I can't wait. So hang on. So for the past 60 seconds, you've been pulling newspaper out of this box. What?
Newspaper, only to find my favorite thing to pack in. Shopping bags. I can already tell this is going to be terrible.
So, wait, what store is the bag from?
Don't give me your garbage. I don't need your garbage. Don't pack with garbage. Don't do it. Food Lion. I don't have those around here, so I don't know what a Food Lion is.
Yeah, I've not heard of them either.
But they are Energy Star certified. They're an Energy Star partner, so that means their buildings were built to Energy Star standards, which is a certification you can get for buildings and residential homes. It's something I do to get tax rebates on buildings. It has to do with appliances and energy efficient lighting and heating and cooling systems, HVAC. Okay, Mr. Collector, I will check that out. Had my ticks for weeks now for Black Panther. I don't know what that means.
He bought his tickets in advance. So
oh, right. I'm excited. I know that there's going to be some stuff in there that's going to be super cringy. I know that going in. I'm willing to look past that and appreciate the other art forms that are in a film, the visualization, the costume design, the actors. I think there's going to be some good stuff in there. I really do. I mean, the visuals are phenomenal. So there's things to be excited about, to be sure. For me, Ironheart is not. I'm not even going to go down the road with Ironheart. From Lutherville, Maryland, this one is. Oh, this is one that I ordered a long time ago that I didn't get. Oh, wow, that's cool. I think I ordered this like 2 months ago. And we put packing tape on the bags. Of course. Because here's the thing. You get excited about getting a package. It shouldn't take you like 10 years to open it. It shouldn't be like a big struggle to open it up and look at your books. That's why people who buy from me now, I usually like to put pull tabs. I don't put tape on the comics, on the comic book bags, because it shouldn't be. You shouldn't get frustrated and angry trying to unpack books you just bought. It should be a pleasurable experience to open up and flip through the books you just picked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what these are is books that I since have bought to fill in the collection because these took forever to get here. But these are the adventures. In fact, I don't know that I have all of these yet either. These are all high-grade copies. Adventures into Fear 26. That is a cool cover, man. A cool cover with Morbius on there. I got 30, The Coven of Death. But this one, God, this is an awesome one.
Wow.
It almost looked like Valkyrie there for a minute, but he's fighting the cat demon here.
Wow.
Which I believe
is a cool cover.
Isn't that a cool cover?
That really is. I mean, Morbius looks yoked. And fighting that cat, like the way they're like grappling.
Says, give me your mean face. And these guys cheaped out and put 2 comics in one bag. Another.
No.
They're the really thick, milky bags from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I hate those.
Yeah. Looks like I got duplicates for some reason of some of these. So I've got 2 copies. That one and 2 copies of that one.
Interesting.
So I'll have to find a new home for these. But Adventures into Fear was kind of a seminal series. Started off with the vampire stuff. I'm sorry, didn't start off with the vampire stuff. Started off with like just regular horror anthology stuff, and then it moved into our favorite, the Man-Thing. I gotta love Man-Thing. Man-Thing's such an awesome character. So that's 14. That's number 13. I've always thought that was a great piece of art here. And these bad boys are pretty stinking high grade too. That is a good thing to see. That is an impressive grade for these. I've never had many Adventures into Fear that were like I thought would be candidate books. And I think these might just get that. That is great. So like Man-Thing kept bouncing back and forth. First he was brown, then he was green, then he was brown again, then he was kind of like halfway in between. I think they started to make him brown to make him different from Swamp Thing, who was always green. Yeah, this was one I was missing from my Werewolf by Night, but I've since picked it up, so I'll probably let this one go. But that's another cool cover. This one again is one of my favorite Werewolf by Nights, where they're fighting Dracula on the freaking moon. How great is that? Doesn't get any better than that. not breathing any air, so they can't yell at each other. I don't know how he's talking on the moon because there's no oxygen to talk on the moon. But hey, it's a comic book. It's a comic book. We can get past
He's a werewolf. He's a werewolf. He doesn't need oxygen on the moon.
Yeah, who needs such things? Who needs such
And they don't need pressurized spacesuits so that they don't freeze in an instant.
Right. So at any rate, I've got some newspaper to read. Looks like the Ravens lost. I mean, there could be worse things. At least you didn't send me a whole bag full of your grocery bags. I'll take newspapers over grocery bags any day. Refreshing cocktail design.
But did he send you the entire paper?
I don't know. Pretty doggone close. There's an Ollie's ad. Let's have an Ollie's there. Ollie's. They actually sell comics at Ollie's because they'll buy out comic book shops and rebag them and sell them in multi-bags. Okay. On to the shipping disaster. And then I will check my IG, Mr. Collector. Right. Yeah, I'm excited too. I am excited. Don't get me wrong. Just because I have some qualms about the writing and the fact that the people who write these things hate comic book and hate comic book readers doesn't mean that I'm still not excited for the people who do care about these characters and stories and stuff. So I am excited about it. Let's not get that wrong. Because the fact that they actually put the wings on Namor's feet, big fan of that. Okay, so for this shipping disaster, we've got a little bit of a biohazard. So I'm going to put on the operating gloves here. Right.
I don't think I've ever seen you suit up for a shipping shame.
Nope. And I used to wear gloves when I cleaned and pressed comic books. I don't do that anymore. It's too easy to damage the book with gloves on. It's too easy to catch the edge of the paper. You can't feel the paper to feel if there's any problems with it. So now I just keep like a hand sanitizer there to dry your skin out a little bit while you're working on books. So I'm not a glove guy for handling comic books anymore. Don't do that. All right, I got this earlier this week, and hoping the camera can pick this up. There was blood all over the inside of the mailer and all over the comic book bag.
Wait, there was what?
It's blood.
Like legitimate blood?
Like legitimate blood. Like a guy cut himself packing the book up and said, "Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to pack it and send it." There was thumbprint blood things on the bag of the comic. I threw it out and said, "You're going to give me a refund." And I just don't get how you would just say, "Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to send it." Or sorry, forget it, I'm just going to send it anyways. And I was going to burn this immediately, but I thought, this will be good content for the show. I don't get it.
That's just bizarre. That's really bizarre.
Gross. I mean, I don't know what this. I mean, I'm assuming the blood would be dormant by the time it got to me. There's probably no pathogens or anything in there. I mean, but God only knows. It's certainly not very professional looking. Spray blood all over your comic book mailer.
We need a. Hang on. We need a gift.
That is a new low. That is a new low.
It really is. Here, you said professional, so.
Yeah, there we go. Right. So at any rate, I knew you guys would get a kick out of this. I saved it so I wouldn't burn it before I got a chance to share it because I was pretty irritated at the time. I threw the bag out, threw the comic out, and then I was about to burn the box. I'm like, you know what? I at least ought to save the box. So
MT, you for the first I think for the first time you risked your personal health and well-being
right for the good of the show.
for the show. That's a big deal.
Hey, El Green.
Hey, El Green, you get to feeling better, buddy. Okay.
Oh, is he a little under the weather?
Yeah, he said he was feeling sick. Mr. Collector wants to know if that was Paul that shipped that bloody book.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe newspaper strips that ran every day for 4.5 years in newspapers and comic collections around the world. In the U.S., where it was created and distributed, the strip ran in a few newspapers, about 10 of them. From what could be found, was also published in Brazil, India, Greece, Serbia, Australia, and other countries. So it was only in 10 papers in the U.S. I assumed it was probably going to be in big city papers. I don't ever remember seeing it in any newspaper anywhere I ever went as a kid. So I don't even think it was in the Pittsburgh Gazette paper, because I'd occasionally read that one. So at any rate, thanks for that, Mr. Collector. Appreciate that. Checking the rest of my IG. That's enough. There, I got like 20 IG messages to catch up. We'll do that later. Take it away, Carlos. I'm done. That's all I got.
All right. So, hey, oh, wait, they're asking about the science experiment from last week.
Oh, right.
Wait, do that after you come back, because mine's going to be pretty short.
All
Hey,
right.
everybody. Quick note, just make sure and like the video if you haven't already. Remember that this just helps the video, helps people see us and know that we're here. Thanks to the folks that have been hanging out in the chat and going over some of these finds that MT has had. It's always entertaining to see what he gets. His discomfort and irritation brings us many hours of entertainment here on the channel. So we're always fun. I mean, it's, I do feel for MT, but at the same time, I love to watch what he goes through with these. Every single time that he shows off an eBay package, the next seller finds a way to top it. I don't know if they're all watching and they're like, "Hey, let's do it this week," or maybe it's a conspiracy. Not sure. So I only have 2 books to show off. I have been. So y'all know, if you watched last week, you know that I found a small stack of DC Comics Presents Mark Jeweler insert books. So I think the guys were telling me about the scarcity of certain colors of inserts. And I think gray and teal, were those more scarce, MT?
I don't know that. Well, teal, you're talking about the emerald ones? I don't know what you mean by teal.
It's like it's not like a bright
Turquoise?
green. It's like a blue turquoise, yeah.
Yeah, those are the most common. The turquoise and purple are the most common.
Oh, well, okay. So that's what this, yeah. I thought I was going to reveal something cool, but never mind.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I don't know that I showed these off last week. I have not made it to I still haven't made it to my LCS all last week. I was busy with work. But I picked up, I do have these 3 books that I wanted to show. I don't think I showed them, and my stacks got mixed up here. So Tim Drake, my favorite Robin. Well, not my favorite Robin. Yeah, he's my favorite Robin. Nightwing is one of my all-time favorite characters, but Tim Drake was probably my favorite Robin because I grew up in the '90s on the Chuck Dixon run. That big Robin run that ran for like 170 issues or something. Like, just a crazy long run, fantastic stuff as long as Chuck Dixon was writing it. So Tim Drake, I haven't been pleased with how they've treated him and what they've done with the character. I think mainly because they couldn't figure out what to do with that many Robins that were alive. And they didn't have a different, they tried different things. And so he's got a mini series. I'm a big fan of Dan Mora. He really kind of launched into, I think, I really found him when he was doing art duties, or when I started reading Once and Future, and he just did fantastic with that. I loved what he did, and he's now doing variant covers for DC, and I've been picking up a few of those. I've shown him. Well, this was the variant for Tim Drake, the Tim Drake Robin mini series. This is issue number 2. and it's an homage to the original Detective Comics 38 that was the first appearance of the original Robin. So I just thought this was a really cool cover. Again, it's Dan Mora, and he is a new favorite of mine. So I just wanted to show this one off. Him and Nightwing. I haven't read the story yet. I have a to-read stack that is building here. That and Sacrament and several others. Moon Knight. But okay, yeah. So speaking of Moon Knight, I do have the Moon Knight Annual #1 that came out. I love the cover, and I need to get caught up on my Moon Knight because that was my favorite Marvel book being written. So here's Werewolf by Night. I love what they did with him with all the Moon Knight crescents stuck into him like that, and they're fighting. I love the fact that they're reconnecting after all this time. So looking forward to reading that one.
That's
also,
very much in the style of the Curtis magazine covers, which was Moon Knight's first appearance.
Oh.
That's what that is homaging.
Really?
Yes.
Very cool.
Painted
Very cool.
covers.
I really liked it, and I'm looking forward to reading it because, like I said, in MT, I know I've mentioned it before, but Moon Knight started off really, really strong. I have not caught up on it yet, so I don't know if it's maintained the strength in terms of story, but I really enjoyed the first half. Hey, what's up, Edwin Price? Good to see you, sir.
And who was writing the Moon Knight series?
Right now, it's currently Adam McKay.
Okay.
But let me see if he's the one that did the annual. Let me see.
Because the last Moon Knight series I read was Arthur Pseudoname did the art. I think Matt Fraction did a lot of the writing. It was mature content type stuff, but it was pretty good.
Was that
it was a female now? Isn't it all about woman Moon Knight, or is they back to having a male Moon Knight?
No, so this series actually I think it was Avengers Forever that was doing the whole female one, but this one it's Moon Knight, and I felt like they did a really good job of kind of because I was never a big fan of the multiple personality Moon Knight. I'm very strictly the Mark Spector.
Okay.
With Frenchie and the
right.
poor Batman version from the 80s, and that was my favorite. Some of these different directions they've gone with it, like the uber violent one, and then the multiple personality thing. I just really haven't gotten into that or read it, and I just didn't like it. So, but I'm sure there's some people that loved it.
It took me a long time to figure out that he had multiple personalities because I wasn't really hip to that. So it took me a long time to figure that out. Like he was the cab driver, and then he was, the mercenary version, and then there was the rich guy, the Bruce Wayne type.
Right. Yeah. He had, I think, like 4 different personalities when it was all said and done.
And then he has the Mr. Knight now personality.
Yeah, and that I was kind of and I like also that they have stayed. They haven't gone too much into that with this one. Okay. But I'm looking forward to reading it. I need to read it so that I can give accurate recommendations on it. So the R.L. Stine adaptation, Boom Studios has done this R.L. Stine mini-series that they're doing right now called Stuff of Nightmares, and they did another homage cover, and I couldn't help myself but picking it up.
Cool.
So I thought this was just really cool. And then these characters they've got here: Stella Gregory, Jordan Cameron, and the Nightmare Keeper, which looks really cool.
Do we know what comic that is homaging?
This is no, I don't.
EC Comics.
It's an EC Comics. I don't know a specific one.
Tales of the
It says E.M. Gist after Ghastly.
Ghastly, Ghastly.
Yeah. So that I guess would have.
Similar horror covers with the headshots.
Yeah.
Just got the stuff of Nightmares too. Okay, great, Pete.
Let's see. I see Edwin Price saying last significant pickups for me include Hulk 3, Avengers 4, X-Men 101, a full box of goodness from MT, another full box of Bronze Avengers. Very nice. He's always got some good stuff. We'll have to have him on. We'll have to coax him onto the show.
Have him show off his AF-15.
Right. There you go. All right, so last pickup I wanted to show off real quick, and then I'm going to bounce it back to MT. So this is not a comic book, but it is comic book stories. And okay, so I'm a huge proponent of literacy. I have been for several years now, because I've realized, especially being in ministry contexts, that a lot of students are not literate, and literacy is it's critical for so many reasons,
Critical to success in many endeavors.
Yeah, I mean, it struck home, I think, several years, like 5 or 6 years ago, when I realized if you tell if you tell students, hey, spend some time reading your Bible at home, but they can't read, that became like a core thing for me, because I realized that so many things, like people will be held back in so many arenas, so many ways, if they just can't read. And so that's part of kind of why I love comic books, because comic books increase literacy, and I've seen that in the life of like my son. And now the girls, because as I buy them comic books, my nephews, as I get them comic books and they start reading the comic books, they become better and stronger readers. And now it's to the point where my son just loves picking up these thick graphic novels. He doesn't even look at the single issues anymore. He goes and browses, and he's always got a couple of them. And I'm like, hey, when you finish this one, and he's got multiple books he's reading, and it's really, really, it's such a big deal. So, for younger kids, maybe that you're having a hard time getting to, if you're having a hard time getting kids to read, there you go. Yep.
You know what was interesting for me reading comic books in particular? I think it increased my vocabulary quite a bit. There's a lot of words in comic books that I don't come across anywhere else in life or in school or anything else. And especially at a young age, I think it really helped my vocabulary out.
Yeah, and this, to me, I think also science fiction helped.
Science concepts, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you think about the kind of just the word usage, and like what words would be most commonplace in there. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It does increase vocabulary, I think, exponentially. And I think that some of the best literature being written today is, well, not today, but I mean like in modern times, is in comic book form. Hector said,
you're right.
Omniscient when reading about the Beyonder.
Right.
There you go. So anyway, so all that to preface and say, I'd taken the girls to Five Below. That's kind of like their reward when they've saved up enough money from allowances and stuff. I came across this book, and I ended up just picking it up. Neither of the girls was necessarily big on it, but this is called 5-Minute Marvel Stories. It has a price tag of $12.99 on it, but it was for sale. They had stacks of them for sale at Five Below for $5. It's got solid art. It takes some well-known stories and some adapted stories and newer stories, and it breaks them down into exactly what it is, 5-minute stories. And it's a really solid reading level, ages 3 and up. So it's definitely a great, I think, beginner book for kids. And so I just think it's I just wanted to show it off because I wanted to, because Christmas is coming up. And I'll tell you who really got the literacy thing started in our family was my grandfather. So I come from a family of teachers. So, literacy has always been a big thing for us. But my grandfather actually started it off by every Christmas, every one of the 9 grandkids would get a book. And no matter what else we got, clothes, toys, whatever from parents or family, from our grandfather, we always knew that Papa was going to get us a book. And so, and then he would, I got to, because my mother had the membership to this place called Richardson's that was discounted books. I got to go along on those trips, and that and her taking us to the library every week during the summer is what really built out my love of reading and gave me a varied, kind of like a broad variety of comic books to choose from, because at that time they'd have all the different issues in the library, in the section with all the comics, and then I would get other books and stuff, all that kind of stuff. But by him, so that's something that we've carried on, my wife and I, with all our kids and the nephews and nieces and everything, is a book, if nothing else, a book every Christmas for every kid. And so that's just a neat thing that he did with us. I would encourage you to consider that with the children in your life, whether or not you have children, whether or not if you're watching and you say, well, I've got a niece and a nephew, or maybe if you're watching and you say, I don't really have any children in the family, but maybe there's like a church or a school, and you could drop off either some comics or some, check them for content first. But maybe there's stuff that you could, or even a hospital. Hospitals are a great place to promote literacy, because these children, can be in there sometimes with getting treatment and stuff, and they need material, something to do. And this can be a really great way to brighten their spirits. So, you got the holidays coming up. Just a little neat thing I thought I'd point out. This is called 5-Minute Marvel Stories. And then there are a couple of others that they've done since then. They tie into the cartoons and the movies quite heavily, but it's still great material. So, and then there's Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, all the rest. There's Rocket Raccoon. All right, so just wanted to share that with everybody, and I'm going to bounce it back to you, MT, and let you see. Let's see what else. I think you said you had the science experiment, right?
I will say, Mr. Collector, I remember those fondly. They had these book fair days.
Yes.
You could buy cheap books, Scholastic books, and it was just cool to be able to go in and buy a cheap book. I can always remember that being a big deal. Don't always remember reading them all, but I used to be excited about that day. I remember that was a big deal in school. I think we got out of class to go to the book fair too, which was kind of cool.
Yep.
At any rate, the science fair has produced some interesting results. The book is this is I cracked open a slab on the show last week, and I wanted to know if the plastic welds were watertight or airtight, and it is not leaked. It's perfectly dry. I think the welds are solid. These are now perfectly airtight encapsulations, which I think is good for moisture in particular, to keep moisture out of the book. There's some off-gassing of the ammonia and some of the acids that are in older books that I don't necessarily know is a great idea to have them perfectly sealed, hermetically sealed, but I could be wrong there. I know oxidation of some of the inks can be a problem. So, I think that the ongoing debate about this might transpire, but these never used to be watertight. But the new cases are. So the interior liner of your comics. And the other thing that I noticed about these that they never used to do, let's see if my camera can pick this up, is they box out. They actually, it used to just be 2 sheets of plastic that they welded. Now they actually have a formed box around it that has the thickness of the comic. You can kind of see the edge here. Hard to see, but there's actually the thickness of the comic, so you're not pinching the edges of the book like you used to when it was just two sheets of plastic welded together. So anyway, that's the results of the science experiment about what the new slabs do. I think the next one I crack, gang, open, I may leave in there, and maybe I'll find a cheap slab I don't care about, that I get graded that doesn't have a grade I like or something, and we'll crack it out and we'll stick this in like a fish tank or something, or I'll find a bucket to put it in, and we'll put it underneath some barometric pressure of being underneath the water and see if it can't seep in that way.
You know, I've got an older inner well one that we could. We'll talk after.
Well, we know the older inner well ones leak. We know that.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that experiment conducted.
Okay.
It's the new ones that we don't really know about. I've not seen the new ones had that experiment conducted yet, which is kind of why we did this. So it's going to need to be, the new cases that just started coming out with here, this year, right? The new cases started earlier this year. Trax would know.
That I'm not sure. I'd have to compare them.
Because they have the hollow backs, the more hollow back plate on the top. I could show you one, but at any rate, another time. I'm a little tired myself. Had a long day in the trenches, and I have another long day tomorrow. So I think I'm going to sign off here. But thanks for participating, everybody who was here with us. We always love it when you join us, and hopefully I can dig up another disaster for you next week. Can you send a book or two as well? I just need to go to Paul's house. There you go.
All right. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in tonight and being here with us. As always, make sure hit the like button, leave a comment below, and especially if you haven't yet subscribed, we're one or two away from being 1,060 subscribers. So we are starting the big march until 1,500, and make sure and pull up a playlist or two and help us hit the watch hours that we need. You can just have those playing in the background. You just pick a playlist, have it playing in a tab in the background. Don't even have to have the audio on, but it would be a huge help to the channel if you're able to do that. Thanks again for being here. Big, huge shout out and thanks to MT for all his hard work, and for him always showing us books and conducting science experiments with us, and bearing the brunt of the bad shipping practices of the eBay elite that he shares with us on a weekly basis. There you go. That's a thing of beauty right there.
It is. I'm really happy to have this one.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a great night. We will see you on Wednesday, 10 p.m. Central, for the giveaway show. Until then, take care and read those comic books.
Thanks, guys.